going on, all you wild creatures out there? It's your two favorite uncles back here for Cinephellas, doing more 31 Days of Horror. And I am your hostess with the mostest. I am Uncle Logan Myers. That's my good mate over there.
And I'm the horrific Henry Hill. And that's right, me and Uncle Logan are back again for this exciting 31 days of horror. And this time I watched a movie that Uncle Logan suggested to me. And for some reason, I hadn't watched it until this 31 days of horror. It was a great one to review. Logan knows all about the movie, he grew up with it. This is my first time watching. We're reviewing Clive Barker's Nightbreed.
So we got their arms. So am I.
Out of your deepest fears and your darkest fantasies, Clive Barker brings you a startling new breed of adventure. I won't let you down. Nightbreed.
That's right. These two ghouls are back at it for more 31 Days of Horror. Been having a blast this month thus far with you, my best mate over here, talking about a lot of new old horror films, TV shows, and everything else in between. But tonight we're going to be talking about one of my, actually is my favorite Clive Barker film, Nightbreed, that came out in 1990. This is his follow-up to Hellraiser. This is based off the novel that came out in 1988 called Cabal, and really has to do with this character Boone going to this mythical place.
Midian is where he goes in this.
Midian.
Yeah, look behind you just in the poster. That's what really stood out for me. This being my first time watching, just this going to this different world, basically this underworld that's underneath the cemetery, seemingly like a different kind of dimension where there's all these creatures. And man, the creature designs and effects in this movie were phenomenal. Just the iconic looks of all the different creatures in this movie, like the guy on the right there, the guy that has the moon shaped face, basically. Just really cool makeup work and practical effects in this movie galore. It's a really terrific movie for that. And I am ashamed that I haven't seen this movie until now, but I digress. Yeah, we have Craig Sheffer here as the main character here. Aaron Boone, also, when he turns into a creature himself, Cabal, there's a whole backstory with that. This being my first time, I didn't understand everything and all the mythology, but there is a lot in this, and it's pretty cool how it features in the film. Also, interestingly enough, one of our favorite horror directors and directors in general, David Cronenberg, plays the villain in this, a serial killer who is after Aaron the whole time. And, you find out some interesting stuff about his character as the movie goes on. At first, he seems like he's like basically a therapist to Aaron, but it turns out that he's actually the villain. That was a really cool part for me too. And his mask was really neat.
I remember seeing this as a young kid. I remember going to the local video store and seeing the VHS with Boone and all these creatures. And it creeped me out as a young kid, just like the makeup work of these monsters. I'm like, what's this all about? Eventually got around to seeing it. Glad I did, because it is spooky, but also really fantastic in terms of like practical effects and makeup work and everything. Really top-notch stuff in this movie. But yeah, David Cronenberg playing Decker, the psychiatrist doctor, the serial killer, his creepy mask. And I remember watching this as a kid where he goes in and just like slaying the family. The young kid sees him and stares, and just a scene from the movie that I'll remember all these years later, and really setting up a lot of iconic scenes. But essentially, people are dying due to the serial killer. Looking at Boone being a killer, ends up going to Midian. It's really the battle of monsters versus humans, and who really is the monster? Is it humans? What they tackle in this movie with the serial killer?
It's very interesting how they go about it. It's actually based upon a novel called Cabal by Clive Barker. So, basically he created this whole world with inside this movie. It's got a lot of mythology, like I mentioned, and just a really bonkers third act that was amazing for me watching it for the first time. I was like, man, this is awesome. Just all the action. It's like basically the whole police force and everybody going out to, they're trying to find Boone, of course, and they believe that he's the serial killer. Obviously, it's Decker, like you mentioned. But yeah, it just leads to this explosive finale in the cemetery, which is where Midian is, within the tombs there, basically. And yeah, we have all the cops just bringing like machine guns, all the C4 in the world, and just like exploding the cemetery from one end to the other. There's, like a chase at the end. It has everything. It's like really an action packed finale. But yeah, throughout the movie, you see all these amazing creatures, like ones with like tentacles on their faces. And then when you actually see Aaron himself change into Cabal, it's, pretty iconic and terrific. He has, of course, as in every horror movie, the main character is going to have a love interest. Laurie Winston, played by Anne Bobby, serves as that in this film there. She's somebody that's interested in him, and they have sort of a love affair, but she doesn't understand like the whole, what's happening with Aaron Boone, because there's a lot going on in this movie. But eventually, he shows her that he is indeed a good guy. He isn't a killer, and he helps keep her alive along with some other people.
I was just thinking this is probably the most misleading tagline of the movie, which is Lori thought she knew everything about her boyfriend. Lori was wrong. And that's a poster I have down in the basement that I got about 15
Yeah.
years ago, but it's more of like a slasher, coming out in 1990. It's very
Mm-hmm.
misleading, the marketing of this movie, and that's why I think it didn't do as well, because everybody's expecting a movie like Hellraiser in a way, but it's more, kind of has a lot going on in this, and mythical monsters and
Mm-hmm.
serial killer and a bunch of stuff going on. And that's probably why I didn't do as well. But I always thought of that tagline didn't make sense. And the
Yeah, and it kind
poster.
of throws you off too. It throws off the trail because you see the tagline and you're like, oh, okay, well, obviously the boyfriend's the serial killer.
Mhm.
That's they're trying to do that angle. But yeah, like you mentioned, yeah, probably the marketing didn't do it any justice. There's also a lot of sci-fi involved too with the creatures and the mythology too, so it's a good mix. It felt like something Cronenberg would be involved with, and it would be interesting to find out like how he got cast and like if he had a relationship already with Clive Barker. I'm guessing he probably did, but just to see some of the behind the scenes and hear more would be great for me. But yeah, seeing this for the first time, I was really blown away. Honestly, starting it, I was like, I don't know, what is this going to be? Is this going to be kind of, another kind of version of like a Monster Squad or something like that, where they're trying something like that? But it's really a lot more than that. It's really well done. Decker's a great villain, and love the mask, all the creature effects, makeup. Everybody looks amazing. The actor's good. Craig Sheffer's a good lead for this. He looks like he'd be able to kick some ass and take some names. He was in shape back in the day. You had the damsel in distress and Bobby. I thought she did a good job. This movie was made back, in 1990, and at an hour and 42 minutes, I felt it was just the right length too. And I mentioned that finale, that final third act, really blew me away. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give my score here. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 Midian hair pieces.
Whoa! I forgot to tell you there's actually a Clive Barker cut. It's even longer, less scenes cut
Oh,
out. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, if you ever get around to maybe next Halloween, check out the Clive Barker cut. It's a lot more
hell
scenes in
yeah.
there they didn't
I'm going
cut
to do
out.
that.
Yeah, it really dives in more stuff from the book too, which is really interesting. But you're going on the makeup and the effects. Mark Coulier, he did the Harry Potter series and X-Men First Class. He was behind the makeup effects in this movie. Creature technician Robbie Drake that did Attack the Block. So both of them putting the creatures together, making them come to life, which was really interesting. And then we have, of course, the amazing score by Danny Elfman in this film
Yes.
too. So
Oh,
just
wow. Forgot
all
to
the
mention that.
greats in this movie. Just a cult classic. My favorite Clive Barker movie. Just all the creatures behind me. Pelican. Right there, I have the tattoo on my arm. You
That's
can see
dope.
it here. Pelican. Nobody ever knows who that is because I love Nightbreed so much. Just one of my favorite monsters of all time. Played by the great Oliver Parker. I loved him in this movie. Of course, Pinhead himself is also in this. He plays the leader of the crew here, which was Lylesburg. And the rest of the creatures behind me, all great work. I love how he pulls off scalp
Oh
here.
man,
They're so
yeah.
brutal, gory, in Clive
Yes.
Barker fashion. He loves gore and brutality, and there's a lot of that in this film. It's still a great film all these years later. Rewatching it recently for the Halloween season. Still holds up. I had the Scream Factory Blu-ray of this film, and I try to watch it each year and just find something new that I love about it. This is definitely one of my favorite horror films out there, favorite Clive Barker movie. Great film to watch during the Halloween season during 31 Days of Horror. And if you haven't seen it, I think you're really going to have a great time with it. So that being said, I'm going to give Clive Barker's Nightbreed from 1990. Oof. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 eloquent hair pieces.
That checks out because you've always talked about your love of this film. I've always remember seeing the poster hanging up in your room of it. Somehow this missed me. I don't know. I guess who knows? I wasn't going to the movies around this time. Didn't ever check it out, surprisingly. But I'm glad that you had me watch it. This was great. And yeah, it's my new favorite Clive Barker movie. I think it's better than Hellraiser, even. And a movie that I look forward to revisiting and seeing all that I missed the first time. And next time I will watch the Clive Barker cut for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this that you're going to miss in the first time around. It's a movie you have to watch multiple times to really gather and grasp everything that's thrown at you. And I also recommend reading the book too. I read it about 20 years ago. Really great stuff. So I want to hear from all you
Shit.
wild monsters out there. What did you like about Nightbreed? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite Clive Barker movie? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to stay subscribe. Also, check out these wild Craig Sheffer impersonators on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and horror reviews.
Thank you, Wild Ghouls, for following along with us this 31 Days of Horror. Thank you, each and every one of you. We've gotten a lot of views here for these videos. Thank you so much. Make sure to comment. Let us know how you feel about Nightbreed. Is this one of your classics? Or maybe you need to check it out now that we've recommended it to you. Maybe you've never seen it like I hadn't until now. But definitely, we really highly recommend this. And throw it on here before Halloween. We've got a couple weeks left. So thank you for tuning in. And until the next installment of 31 Days of Horror, I'm Uncle Henry Hill.
And I'm Uncle Doug Bradley signing out until the next review for 31 Days of Horror. Cheers!
Cheers!